I've done some cakes recently that had the rustic type icing on it, and that's where the icing isn't smooth, obviously. And a couple people asked me how to do it. It's very simple, and something that a beginner could do if you're careful. But there are ways to make it look bad. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have this cake iced, and nothing is smoothed out yet. Obviously, the icing on the side is a little thicker than it would usually be, and you don't have to worry about smoothing it out, obviously. So you just take a spatula, and this is kind of the horizontal ridge one. You just draw that up, and you want to draw it all the way up. If you don't draw it all the way up to the top, then this will be too narrow. Then put this right next to it where the other ridge ends. Pull that up. And you want to keep wiping your spatula off to make sure there's no excess icing on there. So do that and go straight up. And just keep doing that all the way around. Now you have to make sure that the icing is relatively thick for this, because if you don't, see, I'm doing this crooked. I'm doing it sideways, so it's a little crooked. You can always go back and fix it if it's too crooked. So you basically just do that all the way around. Try to make it as smooth as possible so that this little ridge here is straight. Then when you're done, you go back and level the whole thing off like that. So you're going to go all the way around the cake and just draw it right in. So it gives you that little effect right there for the texture. And I'm assuming that you can see that. I don't know how the shadows are in here. Alright, then another thing to do, you can drag the icing. Start at the bottom and just turn all the way around. You're going to go all the way around. I'm not going around right now just for the purpose of showing this. You're going to go all the way around. Then you come back, put the spatula here where this meets the top, and carefully, see, I'm doing this kind of crooked, go all the way around. You can always go back and fix it. And you know, like I said, you need to put the icing relatively thick because you're taking it off in order to make the design. Then come back and you just keep going all the way around. Okay, and that'll give you the horizontal ridges. Or you can do just kind of a regular, an irregular regular pattern. What you don't want to do if you're doing this kind of rustic, and this actually takes a lot longer than you would think because you have to go back and make sure it looks right. You don't want to do this because that looks pretty stupid. If you have some kind of a pattern like that, it's too obvious. So you want to make it irregular. You can always go back. You can always put more icing on. But you want to give it a textured look without making it look like you tried too hard. But sometimes this takes just as long as smoothing the cake out if you want to get it to look right. So don't do just swirls up here and swirls down here. You want to kind of go in the middle, make it irregular, make them all going in different directions. So for that, you just kind of work at it until it looks right to you. I've seen it where people have done like this, like little, you know, the same pattern over and over, and that just looks kind of strange unless you're going for that look. That's a different issue. But so now I've kind of messed that up. But that's the way to do that. So it's very simple. It just takes a while and you have to mess with it. And some people use the back of a spoon. I always find that kind of difficult, so I just use the spatula. But this is a very easy way to ice the cake. But sometimes, like I said, it does take a long time to actually get it to look rustic. And if you dig too far in here, if the icing is too thin, then you're going to start dragging cake out of it. So just make sure that you keep putting icing on there. If you work it a little bit and you don't like the way it looks, put some more icing on so that when you go back and work it, it's not going to start dragging the crumbs out. And that's about it. It's very simple.